What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 30 of the Fielder's Choice podcast. I am Dan Field. To my left, we've got Matt Giblin. How we doing, Gib? Episode 30.
What's happening, D? Episode 30.
That's
What
crazy,
do we
right?
got?
30. Well,
Four,
you
mister?
you stumped me earlier on this because when I think of Nolan Ryan, I think of number 34, not number 30, but number 30 was his original number. As
Sure was.
you see on the bobblehead. Yeah, I mean he's on my starting nine. He's my pitcher. I mean him and Pedro are close second. Yeah, Nolan Ryan was absolute stud.
27-year career. Wore number 30 with the Mets for 3 years, from 68 to 71, and then wore it for 7, actually, with the Angels from 72 to 79. He went to 34 when he joined the Astros in 1980 and wore it, the rest of his career. Also with the Rangers from 88 to 93. 27-year career, 324 wins.
27 years. That's insane for a pitcher.
292 losses, an ERA of 3.16, 5,714 Ks tops, 8-time All-Star, 2-time ERA title, won the World Series with the Mets in '69. He picked up a save in Game 3 of that series, was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1999. 6 300K seasons, 6.
It's
2
insane.
20-win seasons, and of course, 7 career no-hitters.
7. Crazy.
Right? Stud. I'm actually a little curious if our guests actually crossed paths with Mr. Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
So I'll really be interested to hear if they had.
Yeah, I mean, that would be awesome. Getting behind the plate, work a game, Nolan Ryan on the mound, that'd be awesome.
Unreal, right?
I know there's a lot to talk about. They got the Hall of Fame stuff. That's happening tomorrow. Since our last episode, there's a whole lot to talk about. But we're very excited for our guests, and we didn't want to keep them waiting, so we will recap once we're done speaking with them. But we want to bring them in right away because we are very excited for our guests this week. And I know our audience is excited as well. 2 respected former MLB umpires, umped a long time, World Series, Championship Series, League Series. They've done it all. And we are very pleased to have them on the show.
What a treat.
Yes. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Dale Scott and Jim Joyce to the show. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks for being here, guys.
Absolutely. Hey, I have some Nolan Ryan stories if you want to hear it.
I was dying
to.
Can you hold up that bobblehead again?
Absolutely.
I thought he was much taller.
He retired after the '93 season. I had his second to last start. His last start, he got hurt and he had to leave early. And I was supposed to have his last start because I had the last game on the plate at Old Ranger Stadium, 2 stadiums ago. And it was Kansas City was there, and it was the last game for Nolan Ryan and the last game for George Brett. But Ryan was on the injured list, but they both came out with the lineups for the ground rules. I got a great picture of all of us, and they've signed it. But I got to tell you, when I worked a divisional series, when Nolan was with the front office of the Rangers, I don't remember exactly what year this was. I want to say 08, but I could be off a few years. Anyway, but the Rangers were playing Tampa, and the Rangers won the series in Tampa. So the series was over. There's 6 umpires, obviously. Well, 2 of us were West Coast guys, so we didn't have flights to catch, and so we were taking our time. And in the locker room. The other 4 guys booted out of there pretty quickly. And our locker room in Tampa was not that big. It's kind of a compact room, as they would say. But the shower, I mean, they only had just a 2-headed little shower. It was not a huge place, little bathroom that was right there. So, I'm just taking my time because I was working with Katie. Kerwin Danley was the other guy that was with me, the West Coast guys. So we were going to go out to dinner. So we were just kind of taking our time, and I'm in the shower, and all of a sudden I heard some voices, like somebody came in, and there's no there's no curtain or anything on this shower, right? And suddenly I'm kind of washing my hair, and I hear, "Hey, Dale," and I look, it's Nolan Ryan. What? And Nolan is their clubhouse was just down the runway, but there was just the runway, but there was just media and people everywhere. And he said he come and knocked on the door and said, "Hey, you guys mind if I use your facilities? It's a zoo down there." And of course, I was in the shower. I didn't know that. So he comes in, and so I look up. I go, "Oh, hey, Nolan!" I'm standing buck ass naked right there in the shower. It's like a awkward. And so he goes, "So you guys had a great series." "Oh, thanks, Nolan." And we're just having a conversation. Just a normal thing. He's zipping up, and I'm washing my hair. And so he, and then he's asking who's working the next round. And I told him, and who's got the series. We said they won't announce it yet. And so we had like a 3-5 minute conversation. And then he said, "Well, good luck." And he walks out, and I'm thinking, this is just weird. This doesn't happen every day. I've got this Hall of Fame, unbelievable, superstar pitcher that pitched for 1,000 years, and me washing my hair in the shower. So so that's my Nolan Ryan story.
Well, when he came in and he said he had to use the facilities, did you ask him did you say 1 or 2?
No, Bob wasn't there. Bob Davidson was not there.
Yeah, Bob Davidson did that to Al Gore.
Yeah, the All-Star Game, 1993.
Yeah. Well, my Nolan Ryan story is I was actually at his last game, and Teddy Henry had the plate. And there was like a lottery going on who was going to have his last game and stuff like that. I not only had his last game, but I also had his 5,000. I was the second base for his 5,000 strikeout.
Wow.
But obviously nobody knew that Ryan was going to just leave at that particular time. There have been some rumblings about him retiring. Well, I'm not going to say he blew his arm out, but he hurt his elbow in his last game. And Teddy Henry walked out to the mound. And according to Ted Henry, who I talk to twice a month still, he said Nolan Ryan just reached out and handed him the baseball and said, "Teddy, you just saw my last pitch." And literally, Teddy Henry took the baseball, and he says, "I really wanted to give it back to him." He said, "But I took the baseball, and you guys, kind of know this, I would imagine. You know where every ball in your ball bags are. Well, Teddy put it in his left ball bag and put it at the front and never let that ball move." And wow. I think to this day that Ted Henry still might have that baseball.
Wow.
That's good stuff.
That is awesome. I'd be afraid to have that and just accidentally grab the wrong ball.
Teddy Henry, by the way, had the greatest line when I was in the instructional league back in the minor leagues. In Phoenix, he came by to talk to the guys, and somebody asked him. He said, "Teddy, what's something they said in the minor leagues that they don't say in the big leagues?" A player or something yelling from the dugout, and Teddy said, "Well, they don't say you're going to die in this league."
Good old Teddy.
Great line.
He was a beauty.
So
I think Teddy's 85 years old, and his wife is 93.
Wow.
Good genes right there.
I talk to Teddy about twice a month.
It's fantastic. So as we told you guys before we started recording, I'm going into my 3rd year umpiring. Matt is going into his 4th year, which I'm sure seems like nothing to you guys.
behind you guys.
Yeah, just a few. But I know, Dale, at least you started young at 15. Jim, not sure what age you started, but what got you into umpiring? We can start with Dale. What got you into umpiring originally? And because I never thought I would become an umpire. Always a ball player. Same with Matt, and we both
Well,
just
anybody can umpire. That's proven anytime you talk to anybody. But Jimmy and I had total different paths to umpiring. Um, we both were players, except I was terrible and couldn't, throw, hit, run, or catch. So I played, up until high school, and then at 15 I was done playing, and so I didn't know. I loved baseball, and so a friend of mine said, "Why don't you try umpiring? It's something you could do, make some money, And I saw an ad for the Lane County. I grew up in Eugene, Oregon, Lane County Umpire Association, and you're supposed to be 16. And I was 15. I was going to be 16 in August. I talked him into, let me give it a shot, and I just fell in love with it. It was, obviously it's not for everybody, and it's some people, a lot of people don't even try it, but some people try it and quickly realize that's not something they want to do. But I really enjoyed it. I started. I was a sophomore in high school. I started doing basketball and football the next couple of years. So I was officiating year round, and just really enjoyed it. And so when I was 21, I went to umpire school, and luckily I was able to finish high enough to go to the advanced school and get a job in the minor leagues, and that's how I got going. So I was in the minor leagues when I was 21, and
Wow.
I started umpiring when I was 15. I was in the minor leagues when I was 21.
Wow. And how about you, Jim?
Well, baseball was always in my blood, and I played baseball all my life. I wasn't too bad at it. I was lucky enough to get a scholarship to go to Bowling Green State University in Ohio, and I played 4 years at Bowling Green. And my roommate, Larry Owen, who was famously called Buck Owen, he got drafted and was drafted by the Braves. And so, I mean, I just really thought that was really cool. So what I really wanted to do was I had told Larry, I said, when you get there, contact me because I'm thinking about going to umpire school. And if there's any way I can get a tryout, I would love to do that. Well, it almost came about, and it came about while I was at umpire school. And a friend, and it was kind of like Dale, a friend, and I had never umpired before except for like that player, the player umpire from the benches and stuff. But I did have a knack for the rules because my dad was not a minor league umpire, an amateur umpire in Toledo. And I kind of followed him around a little bit. So I kind of had a knack for the rules and stuff. And so I went to umpire school, and like Dale, I finished pretty high. And I actually, my roommate called me and says, "I think I can get you a tryout." And I said, "You know what? I'm just finishing umpire school, and I think I'm going to make it into the minor leagues. I think my playing days are over." And so, like Dale said, I just now you start to take that road. Now our paths were a little bit different. It took me 11 and a half years in the minor leagues to get to the big league. Dale Scott blew right past me. He's like that, blew right past me. But and I kid him about that all the time. But you know what? We ended up working together quite a bit in the major leagues too. So I think we had a blast together, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we did. In fact, when I was first named crew chief, Jimmy was my 2-man.
Yeah.
And then we worked the World Series, the World Series together in 2001, which was a remarkable series. And
Yes, it was.
and we actually worked a little bit in AAA too. Had some fun.
Yeah, yes, we did. Yes, we did. We've known each other a long time. We've known each other from about 1981.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and we had the Portland connection. I'm not from Portland, but my wife is from Portland, and I made it my home. I've been here longer than I was in Toledo, so we had that connection going for us too. So, and he was with me the night I got my job, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Dale was there the night I got the call. So.
Wow. You guys haven't killed each other yet, so that's
no.
good.
It's we've talked about it.
So there must have been a point you guys both must have had it at different points that you realized that you were pretty good at what you were doing. At what point did you realize, like, I can do this, like this is where I want to be?
Well, you at least when I got in the minor leagues, I the way I figured is this is a once in a lifetime shot. I mean, I was full time at a radio station in Eugene, and I just thought I can always fall back to radio. This is something that's once in a lifetime, and let's just see how far it goes, right? And so, I never thought as a profession, I never thought I would be in the big leagues. I never really had that thought until I got into AAA, because that's you really aren't in that position until you get to AAA. But once you get to AAA, then you're being seen by major league supervisors, and you may get a shot then. But so it wasn't until I got to AAA when I thought, okay, now I've got a shot of possibly getting to the big leagues. But it's like anything. You can, you're not there till you're there. There's guys that have worked literally 400 or 500, 600 big league games up and down for years, and they never got a contract. So you really, I mean, my thought process was you're not in the big leagues until they hire you. When I had my first game ever in '85, I was called up to Kansas City for just a 1-game makeup game from earlier in the season, a rain out. When I came back down from that 1 game, I said, at least I had a game in the big league. At least now, if I never make it, I can say I worked in the big leagues. And you have that, packed away there somewhere. But the fact of the matter is, like I said, you're not there until you're there, and that's when you realize, oh my goodness, this is really happening.
Yeah,
I had a lot of minor league games. So it was exactly how Dale expresses it. And for me, though, I can almost tell you, I can't tell you the date, but I can tell you the game. I had been called up for my first major league games in '86, but it was in '87 when I was called up to work. Some guys had a phobia of New York, and call-up guys usually work Baltimore, New York, and Boston, pretty much when people went down. And I got called up to go to New York, work the plate the second day game. Teddy Higuera was pitching, left-handed pitcher from Milwaukee. Tom Trimblehorn from Oregon was the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. And I was working with Larry Young, Ken Kaiser, and I can't remember the third guy off the top of my head right now. It wasn't Jim McKean because he wasn't there. And I was working the plate, and I got in a little kind of a scuffle with Tom Trimblehorn over a pitch. And we kind of went at it a little bit. Then he finally just walked to the mound. I went back to my spot, and Larry Young came up to me 2 innings later and said, "You handled that very well." And I said, "I'm not afraid of these guys. I can do this. I can do this." And I literally convinced myself that day that I can be a major league umpire. And after the game, Larry Young took me out, and we went to go watch big time wrestling, WWE wrestling at Madison Square Garden. So, he initiated me into the big leagues by going to watch the British Bulldogs and
love it.
Everything like that. We had a blast. He got his front row seats, so when they slapped each other, the spit actually hit you.
That was back when wrestling was cool.
That's when it was real wrestling.
Yeah.
That's when they bled.
Legion of Doom, and yeah.
Absolutely. I go way back in wrestling.
Yeah. Ultimate Warrior was my hero.
Dandy Dan Miller was mine.
Yeah. Wow.
Look that name up. That's a long time ago. He was a partner with the Oklahoma Kid.
Wow. Sounds familiar. Dale, did you have a favorite wrestler?
I'll be honest, I wasn't that into wrestling.
Yeah.
Ken Kaiser.
But Larry Young was huge into it. I mean, Young was
big time. Yes.
Big time. In fact, didn't he Didn't he know somebody was like, what's that?
He refereed at
Right, that's right.
Madison
Yeah,
Square Garden one night.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of downtime when you guys aren't umping too, right? Like, how else were you guys going to spend your time, right?
Well, I spent a lot of various things, but not refereeing wrestling. I can be honest with you.
Or having a few beers at one. Yeah.
Well,
But deciding to become a professional umpire or making that your goal, it's very risky because, like I think Jim said, it takes a long time to get from the minor leagues to the major leagues. And my understanding is the minor leagues is not going to pay, your bills.
No, you're in the minor leagues to get to the big leagues, and if
Yeah.
if that's not going to happen, it may hurt, but it's best to just have them, get rid of you so you can start your life. Not to be callous, but I mean, because that you're not there to make a career out of it. I was lucky, like I said, I breezed right through, but there is no doubt that there were guys, good umpires that. They got into the minor league system, and they just didn't like the lifestyle, or they were starting families, and they're away from home, and I mean, they just either they quit. They maybe got to Double-A or whatever, but it just didn't work out for them. I mean, kind of on a different scenario, but Bill Spooner, longtime NBA referee who just retired a couple of years ago. He started out in baseball. He was my first roommate out of umpire school when I went to beautiful Yuma, Arizona for minor league spring training. Bill Spooner was my roommate, and Bill, that was his second year. I think he worked 1 year after that. And then, plus he was working some small college basketball stuff in the LA area, and he decided to drop baseball and pursue more, officiating in basketball because he liked the baseball. You're gone. You're on the road and gone. In the minor leagues, months at a time, unless you just happen to be in a league that your home's at. But and a lot of guys that's just too much for them. So like I said earlier, to be an umpire, to be a sports official in general, it's not for everybody. And then to grind it out, baseball wise in the minor leagues is a whole different thing. And nowadays, I mean, college, D1 college umpires that work however many weekends it is, starting I think in March or February or March or something. Man, they're making more than the minor league guys, because and they have to be gone every weekend for 3 months or whatever it is. And so the minor leagues have gotten better. They're unionized. They have better working conditions. They the salary certainly is a little bit more respectable than when Jimmy and I were there. But it's a lonely road and a tough one to try to grind it through.
My savior for me, I put in a lot of years in the minor leagues, and it was getting to the point where, like Dale was talking about, it's either, you make it or it's time to move on. And I was lucky enough. Dale was the last guy hired by longtime supervisor Dick Butler from the American League.
Yeah, Tim Cheetah and I, yeah.
Yeah, Tim Cheetah and Dale were the last two hires by Mr. Butler. The next supervisor was Marty Springstead, longtime on-field umpire, 20-year veteran. He walked off the field to become the next supervisor of umpires in the American League. And I was lucky enough to perform in front of Marty in Las Vegas, and I happened to have a really tricky play, and I did all the right things. And Marty thought I hustled, I got the plays right, and I just did everything. And that week, I got, back then they used to literally purchase us. And I was lucky enough to get purchased by Marty, and he was my savior because now I'm in the system. And I know at least they're going to be looking at me. And they used to call it taking an option out on a guy. And I was lucky enough to have Marty Springstead because he never gave up on me. And I just had to wait till my turn. And unfortunately, the way that I got my job is a veteran umpire by the name of Nick Bremigan passed away during the season.
Yes,
right before. It was actually in spring training. and I happened to be at the right place at the wrong time, meaning, a death actually promoted me.
Right.
And it's not a great way to get to the big leagues, but nothing
It's
stands
a way.
still forever. So that's
You-
actually how I got there.
And Jimmy talks about he was seen by Marty when they had this wild play, and and he handled it well, and the same thing happened to me. I mean, I was called up to AAA with my crew chief was Larry Young, and Tim Cheetah was on that crew, and also a guy named Matt Fairchild. I worked the plate in Des Moines and in Omaha, and my third plate job since being called up was in Louisville. And Dick Butler, the American League supervisor, was there, along with Mike Fitzpatrick, who is one of the minor league supervisors. And Dick was there to see Larry Young and Tim Cheetah. Young already had an option on him, and they were interested in Cheetah. Well, Larry had the plate Friday night. I had it Saturday, and Cheetah had it Sunday. So to see those two, he had to sit and watch me. And this is my third plate job in AAA. I go 15 innings, 5 hours long, and put me on the map. Right? I mean, I found out later that he about the 10th, 11th inning, he looked at Fitzpatrick and said, "Who is this guy again?" And he goes, "He just came up," and so we went from there to Evansville, Indiana, which just sidebar, book it. It's a great garden spot. It's a great vacation spot in Evansville. So we went there, and they had a supervisor there, Larry Knapp, to watch me. Then we went to Indianapolis, and Bill Haller, who was a supervisor. So 3 plate jobs in a row. They had supervisors to watch, and boom, Cheetah and I both had our option spot after 5 plate jobs. That's just luck. Okay. I mean, that's just, he was there to watch somebody else. I had a great game, a long game. Nobody could score. Everybody was, pitching was good. So that makes you, helps make you look better. And I was just lucky, but you never know when that break's going to come. And a lot of times you don't even know when the supervisor's in the stands. And so you have to umpire every single game, when you're in the minor leagues, every single game, every single inning, like you're being, being watched, which, because you just never know.
You are.
One thing about Marty Springstead, Jimmy and I just love Marty. He was the greatest for a ton of reasons, but he believed in Jimmy. Well, I had my second year in '87 was horrendous. I had the sophomore jinx or something. It was one of those years that I just, I no matter what I tried, it just got worse and worse. I was losing confidence. I certainly wasn't selling it to the players and the teams. And Marty called me in right after the All-Star break in New York. I had an off day, and he asked me to come by the office. I'm thinking, okay. And he said, "Hey, Scotty, how do you think you're doing?" And of course, I'm not going to tell my boss that I'm struggling, Marty. But so I said, well, it was right after the All-Star game. I said, well, I'm not having an All-Star season, but I think I'm doing okay. And he said, no, you're not. He said, it's and he was right. I mean, it was tough. And he said, we're going to have to change things up. At that time, and in the 80s, it was kind of in vogue to work on your knee behind the plate. And I did ever since AA, really. But obviously no one was believing me, and I wasn't believing myself. I mean, as an official, as an umpire, you start losing confidence in yourself, man. It's tough. It's tough. So, but Marty, he could have very easily, and quite frankly, Dick Butler, if he was still in charge, might have done this, because Dick was not an umpire. He never umpired. He didn't understand. He understood a lot for not being an umpire. That being said, he was never on the field. He just really didn't have those chops. And he would have probably, from past practices and knowing about Dick, he would have probably said, "Oh man, we made a bad choice on this guy," and it just washed his hands of me. But Marty said, "We're going to change this. He saw that there was some potential there. And so he took me to Instructional League in September just to work on a new stance and stuff when there was no pressure. He had me go to the Dominican and work a month down there, where a month in the Dominican, you're working 3 plate jobs to every 1 base job.
Wow.
So you're getting a lot of plate work in, right? And to get a good stance and get some confidence in what I'm doing before spring training and it all starts up again. And Marty did all that. and completely reversed my career from the down to the up. He put me with Rich Garcia the next 3 years. Garcia is one of the guys. There's 3 or 4 guys that are really, really good with young guys, and he was one of them. And it turned it around. And just to button up this story, after my very first World Series in '98, which 12 years after I started in '86, and and 11 years after that horrendous season, it was a 4-game sweep by the Yankees. I had game 3 in San Diego, and I had a pretty solid game. And so, but after about 4 or 5 days after the World Series, I get a phone call, and it was Marty, and he said, "Hey, Scotty, Scotty, Jimmy does a better Marty than I do." But he said, Scotty, he said, we did it, buddy. Him picking me up and getting me back on the right trajectory, and it peaked in '98 where I worked the World Series, and he said he was so proud of what we had accomplished together, and I was so proud and thankful for for him helping me along. So it was Marty, like Jimmy's story, he saw something in Jimmy, he stuck with Jimmy, stayed with him. Same thing with me, and I'm ever grateful. I say it in my book. He saved my career, because that day in '97 or in '87 when I went to the office, he said, "If things don't change, Scotty, if we can't get things turned around, we're gonna have to let you go."
And how often does that happen, where they're willing to work with you as opposed to just being like, "This is not working, we're just gonna let you go"?
Well, first of all, Marty was the last best supervisor,
Yeah.
bar none. Not even close.
When did he retire again?
Well, they unceremoniously basically kicked him out,
Oh, okay.
and I don't even know the year.
I don't remember what year it was, but yeah.
It was a tragedy what they did to him. And Marty was one of these guys that loved to meet you after a game. And I'll be honest, it included being overserved sometimes. Like, that's one of Dale's great lines, is being overserved. But in the meantime of that happening, Marty talked to you if you didn't do something the way it was supposed to be done. Marty, in his own way, led you through, guiding you the right way to do this job. And he talked to you like a real person. I personally believe, and I really don't care anymore, but I don't think supervisors do that anymore in the major leagues.
Yeah.
They don't meet guys after games. They come in for 20 minutes. Everything's done by computer. You're evaluated, you're graded, is all done on computer now. And
wow.
Like I said, and the best tribute I can pay to Marty is he was the last best supervisor, bar none.
I'm in Palm Springs. We just had an earthquake.
Oh, good.
What?
We just had a little, I thought I had run out of quarters of my magic fingers, but
Are you sure you sure wasn't that your mic? It wasn't your microphone modulator?
No. It was weird because I thought I felt something, and then I've got an app on my phone, and it just said, "Oh, you just had an earthquake."
Crap.
Oh.
Well, that's a
I could use that information about a minute earlier. But
Yeah.
wow. That's a sign or
God's
something.
talking
I don't
to
know.
us.
And you
Yeah,
just
right?
thought it was your story.
yeah, I just thought I was telling a good story. I mean,
So did Marty ever work with Angel Hernandez?
now.
No, I know.
what,
I'm
guys?
just joking.
Well, I'm just going to let you know, Angel Hernandez was a very good umpire.
Yes, I know.
Angel Hernandez, the media part
Yeah,
tore him
it's
apart, and it's not fair.
yeah.
And you will understand that the more experience you guys
yeah.
get and such.
Yeah,
And,
No, like we talked about
Angel
him.
Hernandez was when I first came up, he was one of 64 guys that had a job. So just to let you know, I'm
Yeah,
not mad
no.
or pissed off or anything like that. I'm letting the folks out there know.
Yeah. No, that was sarcasm. Obviously, you have
I
to
know.
be
I
a very
know
good
that.
umpire to be in the MLB. And we were very curious, how you guys were graded, and to know that it's now all computerized.
Yes.
That's
well, I hate, you hear all the time, every baseball, they have no accountability. There's no accountability. Every single call that you make on the bases or the plate, and every single pitch that you call is evaluated. And you can imagine in the court, and actually maybe a play you didn't call, maybe there was an obstruction or interference you didn't call, that'll be evaluated too. But the over the course of the season, that's a lot of pitches and a lot of plays, right. And so trust me, there's no place to hide out there.
Yeah.
And
especially these days.
And all that is done. The computerized part is the pitches. That started in the early 2000s. We were getting evaluated by that system, and I was on the and they would call it a joint committee from our union with baseball, and when that was being implemented, and we had some pretty good wars with that because they were saying it was accurate to a quarter of an inch, and we showed pitch after pitch where that just wasn't true.
Sure.
That's what we hear.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sneeze in your ear.
Yeah. Well, no,
bless you.
It's allergies.
Jim, is it still like that? Is today's version the same way?
Yeah, it's a different a different system, a different company. Supposedly it's better. I don't know, but yeah, they've been evaluating pitches for umpires ever since I think 2003.
So how were you evaluated before then? Was that stat tracks?
Before then, it was all just on video and in person. Which can be very deceiving.
Umpires
obviously.
Evaluating supervisors that were umpires and had done the job and knew the experience and had the experience. They knew whether, like Dale was saying, they knew whether you were struggling behind the plate and stuff. It's a sixth sense that an umpire that a supervising umpire has, and now everything's done by. I'll be very honest with you. I worked the last World Series 2013 without the benefit of replay. We had plays, if you remember that series, St. Louis, Boston, we had plays all over the field. And you know what? We got everything right. I mean, we had pickoff play at first, end of game. You had my obstruction call at third base, and then
third to end the game.
Had bangers at all the bases and everything like that. We had a hell of a game. The whole crew had a great, great, great series.
I mean, we hated that call at the time, but
I can imagine.
It was the right call.
Believe me, I remember. I have friends in Boston that wanted, they wanted to take me down to the yard arm. Believe me.
And, I never even thought of that.
But the thing about it is that that's what umpiring is about. That's what it is. Yeah. And the Galarraga play changed umpiring in the regard of instant replay, and it brought full-blown instant replay. Even though it had happened 3 years before that, in 2014 we finally got full-blown replay. And I know how Dale feels about it pretty much. I am absolutely 100% for.
You're for it.
Instant replay, and even expand it, because there are still plays in Major League Baseball that they do not review that should be. Anytime there's a question, if they really want to get them right, anytime there's a question, it should be reviewed, especially now that they are connected and they can get things done in 30 seconds. Then, I really, truly believe that. But it's not to say that 2013 World Series, we still had to work our hind ends off, and the plays came at us and we did the plays. We got the plays. So that's my little rant for the day.
And Dale, you're not about instant replay, or what's your thoughts on?
No, listen. I knew that we needed to even before we had the what we called border calls, basically from foul pole to foul pole, just the stuff in the outfield, not catches, but I mean, home run or ground rule double,
boundary lines,
or a fan interference, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
we were in Philadelphia. And they have left field. They have the top of the wall, and then they have a little distance where they have begonias or something, some flowers, and then they have a chain link, that little fence, and then the stands. Well, if it goes past the top of the wall and hits the flowers or hits that little chain link fence, it can very easily, and probably will, come right back into the field. But that's a home run, or that's out of play if it bounced. But it happens real quick, and it's tough to see, right? And so we had one hit out there, and the covering umpire called a home run. But it came back on the field, and so the four of us get together. We didn't have replay. Now, here's the situation. This is why it just seemed ridiculous to me that we didn't have replay. I got the four of us together. I said, "What do you got?" He goes, "I think it's a home run." I go, "What do you got?" He goes, I thought it hit the top of the wall." I said, "What do you got?" He goes, I didn't see it. And I said, "Oh, okay, right, great." I said, "Well, I got a home run, I think." But now you got to remember, both teams have seen it. They've got monitors up their tunnels. Yep. Everybody in the park has seen it, not on the big screen, but they have monitors all through the concourse and everything. They saw it. Everybody watching at home, they've seen it, several different angles, whatever. The four guys I have to call it has one shot at it, just like that, and it's over. So it just seems so ridiculous to me, right? And you just hope you're guessing right, because they know what it is, right? Yeah. And so I said, well, it's what the hell? Let's go with home run.
That's what we do.
I mean, it was we got a 50-50 chance. We luckily we got it right. But the point is, that showed me that this is ridiculous. And it was, I think it was the next year that we had they had started the replay with the.
Dale, do you remember the time? Okay, we were in the big leagues. I think it was at the time that we were still in the American League, and there was a controversial call in the National League, and the crew chief was Frank Pulley. Frank Pulley went to the TV monitor.
It was in Miami.
Sidelines and looked at the play, a review of the play. He actually asked the studio, "Run this play back for me." And
That's
Frank
awesome.
flipped the call and
off the replay
and got fined by the National League.
Yeah.
Wow.
And got it right.
Yeah, so he got fined for getting the play right.
Yeah.
How about that?
And we could have replay. Frank was the very first one to do replay on the field.
Yeah.
And why'd they fine him?
Yeah.
Because there was no replay.
There was no replay at the time.
Yeah, he illegally
improvised. He improvised and sat there,
right.
and he was probably working third base. And TV cameras are over on third base and such, and first and third. It might have been at first base. I'm not really sure. But I just remember the story that Frank said, "Well, I'm not going to stand here and get screamed at the whole time. I'm going to find out like Dale said, if that ball hit where it hit." And they replayed it for Frank.
That's hilarious.
Frank came back and either call it a no home run or a home run. I don't know what it was, but he got the play right. And it made news at the time. And Frank was reprimanded, and I'm not so sure he was fined. I doubt if he paid the fine, but it was enough to make news that the National League fined umpire Frank Pulley for going to the TV camera and with the audacity to get the play right.
That's hilarious.
And with replay now, because we've done it, the umpires have done it. It's always umpires that are in the replay operations center, the Rock. When you see a guy on the field listening, talking, or whatever, they're talking to another umpire, right? That's assigned there. There's always two crews in New York to work for a week to work replay. But they've gotten it down now. I mean, if there's a close play, whatever, in the replay center, they're already looking at it. They may not even come to you, but they're getting the angles and this and that. So if the field umpires do come, a lot of times they have an answer for them real quickly, if not, almost when they get there. Now, if it's a situation where you're awarding your runner is maybe a spectator interference kind of thing or something, that could take a little bit longer because you got to look at some different things. But compared to especially that first year, replay has gone much, much quicker. And then starting this year, you can challenge pitches, which is, pitch challenges are very, very quick. It eats me that the
ABS?
What's that?
Are you guys for the ABS system?
Well,
loaded question.
Yeah.
Be careful what you wish for, as I always say. Listen, you don't want to kick a pitch in a big time, situation. I mean, there's nothing worse. But I have difficulty sometimes thinking that you have a game played by humans and officiated by humans. But if I always tell people, like when I'm doing a talk to an association or something, this comes up. I'll say, well, let's put it this way: if the bases are loaded and one out, and there's a ground ball to shortstop, I mean, it's a pure double play ball. I mean, the inning is over. This thing is gonna, you're out of it, and it goes right through his legs. We don't go after further review. He usually makes that play, so we're going to give him 2 outs. Uh, obviously we don't do that, but with umpires, we have to be perfect. I am convinced. I don't know this. This is just my thoughts on it, but I'm convinced the ABS system and what they're going to be doing this coming year is because the huge proliferation of gambling apps. Right, you can sit on your sofa now and you can bet every pitch if you want to or whatever. And they've got a 85-inch, zillion pixel, super slow-mo TV. And it's one thing, before it used to be, oh, you missed that pitch, you cost my team the game, and now you cost me $1,000, and that's really going to piss people off. So I can't prove that, I don't know that, but I really think that's part of the push for this.
I think if they're going to go with technology, which you're going to, once they institute it, it's not going away. They're never going to take it back. It's not going to happen.
Yep.
So with that being said, I much rather have the challenge system
Absolutely.
than the computer calling the whole game. As far as I'm concerned, if the computer ever calls a whole game in baseball,
Right.
they've done it in the minor leagues and whatever, then you don't need umpires.
Yeah.
But then there's the arguments about fair, foul, interference, all that kind of stuff. Well, that's great. You're going to go out there and stand behind home plate
and
not
wait
use
for
your
those
talent.
things to
It
happen.
makes
Yeah.
no sense.
Yeah,
to me.
they're saying there's going to be an earpiece where you just call it. They call it for you, and you just relay the call.
Now,
which is-
You don't know-
if they are going to do it. The challenge system seems to be the way to go right now.
Yes.
Absolutely, because the non-challenge system with pure ABS is the plate umpire has to go down like on every pitch like he's going to call it for the entire game. If there happens to be some glitch with the system, he'll hear in his earpiece, "It's yours." So then you have to make a call. Well, the focus and concentration you need to work the plate, especially work the plate at major league level, to make somebody go out there and every single pitch focus and concentrate, never knowing if you're going to call it, maybe not calling one, probably not calling one all the time, but never knowing when it's going to come to you. That's inhuman. You can't make a guy do that. That's insane.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the video. It was from either last year or the year before in the minor leagues in AAA. They were using the ABS for the whole game. They were testing them out, everything like that. Well, a right-handed batter comes up and the pitch comes in and it beeps green. The umpire calls strike. Well, the guy steps out of the box, looks at the umpire. So then he gets back in the box, and then like 2 or 3 pitches later, it's like a 2-2 count now, and the 2-2 pitch comes in and it beeps green. The umpire calls him out for strike 3. The batter takes 2 steps out of the box, turns around and says, "F you." The plate umpire is shocked because he's not even the one calling it. He's the messenger.
Did he forget that?
And then all of a sudden the plate umpire is, "Okay, get the hell out of here. You're done." He got ejected by the ABS system that they've agreed about. They've agreed to it. I'm not going to say that's going to happen, but I think it might. Now, Dale brought up Danny Isonia that they went to the football game. Danny Isonia is the first one to work into the major leagues during the All-Star game last year. And you talk about pressure of having that earpiece in your ear, just like Dale's talking about. Not only that, it's the All-Star game. Now, I know it's supposed to be shits and giggles, but back in the day, it used to mean something. Sure. And Danny was the first one to get challenged on a pitch. But if you go back and look at those pitches that Danny was challenged on,
fraction of an inch.
Bingo.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the pitcher challenged a pitch that was actually in the dirt, came back that it was a strike, and Danny had to call the guy out for strike 3. The guy turned around and looked at Danny, and actually Danny had a smile because he didn't know what to say to the guy, and I don't know who that was. But he was the first one to get challenged on a strike 3. And it ended up, but the ball was almost in the dirt. So it's going to hurt for a while. I guarantee you that it's going to hurt.
Well, and just a sidebar on that, Danny knew he had crew chief, the plate for the All-Star game, probably 3.5 weeks before it happened. They informed him that they're going to use the ABS system about 5 days before he went back there.
Oh, by the way,
oh, thank you very much. Of course, he had used it in spring training. It wasn't like he'd never used it, but still,
Yeah.
that's a whole different thing. But here's the thing. It's going to now. I don't know if they're going to tweak it or what, but right now, I do believe it's 2 challenges for the game. And if you challenge and you are correct, you keep that challenge. Well, I know hitters or pitchers and even a few catchers that the 2 challenges would be, probably exhausted by the 3rd pitch.
Right.
So,
yeah, right.
It would have to be. It would have to be. It's a strategic thing, and you can't call it for the dugout. So those are the only 3 that can challenge. So it'll be very interesting to see how managers and keep their players from making some, in the heat of the moment challenge and being wrong, and they just lose one when you might want to have that later. It's the other thing that gets to me, and I've no one has ever answered this for me yet. I don't know, but for example, runners at first and second, a 3-2 pitch, less than 2 outs, and they're running on the pitch, right? So the plate umpire calls a ball. So the catcher doesn't throw, ball 4. The pitcher challenges. But strike 3. Well, now you have runners at second and third.
Third, because they were stealing.
You never had a shot at maybe throwing them out, or you never had a shot at throwing them in left field and letting them score. I mean,
here's what I
it's
think
going to change the game.
Yeah, here's what I think is going to happen on that. Just like when they instituted replay with us, Dale, if you remember correctly, they were telling teams you continued to go with your play all the way through and such like that. But you're right. If something like that happens, now are they going to implement a rule that says, okay, just kidding, and now we're going to send them back?
The JK rule.
2 runners back down on a double steal or whatever.
Right.
That's going to create maybe the biggest argument of the month.
Unintended circumstances.
It might be called the argument of the month club. I mean, it's there are so many ramifications that can happen. And
well, when they expanded replay, there's unintended circumstances, and one of them we've seen is a guy has a sure double. The throw is a second and a half after he arrived. I mean, it's really no play, right? But he slid in and he kind of popped up, and they tag him, and he's this much off the plate or off the base, right? I remember this happened to me. The guy was in second. There was no, I turned around. I'm just all of a sudden the manager's going to challenge. I'm going, what are we challenging? And I go over it. Well, it's because the glove with the ball and a live ball was on him, and he was out this much off the bag. That's an out, right? By rule, you got to call him out. That's a cheap out, and that's not why you have replay. Right. But you have unintended circumstances anytime you do these things, and so we'll see how all of that plays out. But it'll be interesting to see how what happens. I'm really interested about the challenge thing, because if Paul O'Neill was still playing, the challenges would be done his second pitch.
Paul O'Neill.
Well, without a doubt, the warrior.
And you guys made a good point too. What's unfortunate, also going to be a result of expanded technology, is the fact that you're going to lose a lot of these personal interactions. You no longer have managers coming out to argue with you. And you both have had careers where these incidences have happened, where they're a big part of the game.
Right.
Those are gone.
Yes.
Even your arguments with even batters and players, right? Is a guy going to turn around and start chirping at you because he doesn't like where strike 1 was? Yeah, he's just going to tap his hat. No, you were wrong. Oh, what happens when he taps us and they're out of challenges then? Do you get to toss him?
You just
then?
laugh at him.
Like a technical, and then you're going to give him a technical foul
10-yard
like they do in basketball.
10-yard penalty.
It's an additional strike if he's a hitter.
Exactly. Well, when they instituted the Buster Posey rule on the play at the plate, that just, you talk about a cluster.
It was a cluster.
Oh God,
it was a cluster and a half, because I tell you what, poor Mike Winters that one night in, I don't even know where it was. It was in Miami.
It was Miami, I think.
It was Mike Redmond. And poor Mike Redmond, the manager of the Miami Marlins at the time. I mean, there was no way that played. And guys out there listening, Google it, look it up. How it ended up. I mean, I remember talking to Mike Winters afterwards, and he was telling the story about it. And he said, "Now remember, guys, I'm in Miami, and it's a home team. And if you call this guy out, well, ended up it wasn't even a close play, nothing. And for some god awful reason, because of that rule, there was one rule, one part of the rule was met that they instant replay had to call him out, and Mike Redmond, the manager, almost undressed himself during the argument. The shirt came off, the cleats came off, the hat went off. And you know what? Every umpire was agreeing with him. But that was the rule. Now, remember this, guys. Everything is done with the players okay. On these rules changes, implementations, instant replay, pitch challenge is all done with the okay of the players. And the players dictate what is called, not called, and everything in a baseball game. They are the ones that write the rule book. We administer the rules. That's all it is. We are the messengers. And
well, that slide rule was so tough to figure out. I mean, we on the field read it. They taught it
bless you.
At our retreat. They're telling us what to look for and this and that. I mean, it's like a mini phone book and Google phone book if you don't know what a phone book is, but it's a mini phone book all the plays that could happen there. I was in Philly again, but Arizona was there, and it was Kirk Gibson was managing, and I had a play where the Philly guy was out. I called him out. It was a no brainer. They challenge and they say no, it's he violated the rule, and Kirk came out. He was so dumbfounded he couldn't really argue. He just said, "What are we doing?" I said, "Kurt," between innings, he came out and I said, "Kurt, I'll be honest with you, I don't know what to call. I don't know what to tell you because we are as confused as you are as what's legal and what's not." And they did tweak the rule here and there and this and that, but it was tough. And
one of our pat lines at that time was, if you have a problem with this, you need to talk to the office. Well, the office got pissed at us because we were telling them that on the field. And we said, well, where do you want us to go with this? We're implementing what you say to do, and we're the ones that are catching the heat.
Right.
And you guys are sitting behind your desks at 50 Park Avenue. And it's I don't have any problem with instituting something that's for the good of the game. I don't have a problem with it at all.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that we've gotten this far, but really, instant replay, they've worked it out pretty good. Even though I still say they can expand it because of instantaneous communication. This challenge system, I'm not so sure about. This is the one I'm really not so sure about.
And the people in New York,
Major League umpires right now, and Dale brought this up, we were talking the other day. Major League umpires scored before, when we both were still working, we were scoring 97.5.
Wow.
Of all the pitches that were, and it's about 4 pitches, maybe 3. They're paying all this money for technology that's going to get 4 pitches right or wrong, whatever, however you want to look at it. Glass is half full or half empty. So,
well, they also took a strike zone, which is a 3-dimensional zone, and because the system would call pitches that we would never call, even though technically they might have nipped the strike zone at some point. A pitch right on the outside corner at the very front of the plate, right on the knee outside corner. But by the time it's fading away from the hitter and it's fading toward the dirt, the catcher catches it several inches outside, right above, on the ground. We wouldn't call that a strike. Technically, by rule, that was a strike, but no one accepted that as a strike except pitchers. But so they had to tweak this system, and instead of reading the ball from the front edge of the plate, now they're reading the ball in the middle of the plate. So basically, they're taking a 3-dimensional zone and making it a two-dimensional zone. And for the purpose of this thing working and not calling pitches that look insane as strikes. It still happens, but it doesn't happen as much because of this little tweak. But again, you're fundamentally changing. Now, again, we could talk 5 years from now, and it's just the norm, and we understand it, and people, you just live with it, and that's probably what's going to happen. But it's some of the changes. Listen, Jimmy was right. Some of the rule changes we've had in the last few years, I think the pitch clock is outstanding rule, and the disengagement rule with the pitcher. I think that has done what they hoped to do, which was to take all that dead time during a game and have a much better pace. But sometimes let's not change stuff just to change stuff. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know. We'll see how it works out.
Dale and I were talking the other day. We were doing an interview with somebody else, and we brought up the runner at second base, the ghost runner.
Yeah.
This is driving traditional people in baseball.
I hate it. I hate it.
And the people that work at Baseball Reference and the Baseball Encyclopedia.
Yeah.
How'd that guy get to second base?
Exactly.
I mean,
who gets run?
That's one
run.
rule. I think it's great to my daughter's softball games when she was playing softball. I really do. I thought it was a great rule. And I don't even know if they used it in baseball. We
don't use it in our men's league. Maybe tournaments.
I was going to say, that's one that they could put by the wayside.
I hate it. I don't think it saves any time.
Iota disappointed.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't do that for time. They did it because their theory. I was kind of surprised they did it right in the 10th inning. I could see them doing it maybe in the 11th or 12th and go ahead and play normal rules for a couple extras or whatever. But what their concern was, when you have long games, you have a competitive game, blah, blah, blah. And now it's decided because you've run out of pitchers and you're throwing an infielder. And, and I understand, again, what's happening. But man, you're really, that to me, way more than the pitch clock or the disengage rule with the pitcher or the hitter staying in the, that rule, putting a ghost runner a second. I really thought they would probably do that in the 11th or the, something. But no, they're doing it in the 10th.
Yeah, it just changes the stats.
But once again, guys, it has been okayed by the Players Association. So remember that.
But that one in particular, what happened in the World Series there? the guys had to throw the extra innings out of the bullpen there. It changes the way that the next games have to get played because so-and-so can't pitch. It's a totally different game, though.
Yeah.
Right. I'm curious. Go ahead.
No, you're exactly right. And obviously in postseason there's no ghost runner, and you just you go and go. But for the regular season, they because it blows up bullpens. If you go, if you're going 13, 14, 15 innings, you're a lot of times your bullpen's blown up for the next week. Or they'll shuffle some guys up and down just to get some fresh arms. But anyway, they did not consult Jimmy and I on this, so we didn't have a chance to.
If they would learn to bunt, if they would learn the basics of the game and bunt the guy over, you don't have to worry about the guy at second base.
There you go.
Yeah. So you guys ever rewatch your games? Like when you're behind the dish? I'm sure. Yeah, we'll get.
You mean now?
Oh no, back when you were umpiring.
I might look at a pitch or something that I was.
I got you.
Came up or something and just see what happened or whatever, and I'll look at plays if it's but I don't sit and watch a game. I mean, right now, the last 3 years I've been a rules analyst for MLB Network. That's the only reason I'm watching games now. It's because I'm getting paid for it. I'll watch postseason. I do watch postseason and the whole reason I watch it is just praying nothing controversial happens. That's the whole darn reason I'm there.
Yep,
but during the season, if I'm not doing a rules analyst thing, I won't watch a game. I've seen a lot of games.
I'm watching hockey. I'm watching the Maple Leafs.
There you go.
Gib, did you want to ask something?
I was more curious.
You guys are probably
hear me.
I'm not a big hockey. I'm not actually a big hockey. But yeah, Bruins. If it's baseball, football, we can hear you. We can hear you.
I just figure any sport that has high sticking, count me in.
I was more curious. I was more curious if MLB put you guys through any trainings, or if you guys had to attend workshops in the off season to work on rules or go over different things.
You may not believe this until We had
2000.
we had nothing. I mean, you just showed up at spring training and went until 2000, I think, is when, or
Yeah.
2001, when the
Yeah.
new system was in, where all major league umpires not working in one league or whatever. Now they have a yearly in January. They meet in Scottsdale for physicals, and they go over new rules and whatever they do. But my first 15 years, Jimmy's first 13, 14 years, I mean, I was amazed that there was no off season
awesome.
anything.
We used to get memos.
Wow. Oh, we got a ton of memos.
Yeah, we used to get memos. I can remember in spring training, we got a memo that we were going to implement the stop, for a pitcher to stop, and so we bucked the bejesus out of him in spring training. As soon as the season started, that went away because all the pitchers bitched about it. So that went away until they finally implemented to the point where you had to it took 2 years for them to literally put the stop in. So,
wow.
But it was because they complained so much. And so it just got done. It just doesn't happen. Now, I will be honest with you, the rules and stuff and replay and the way things are done now are, they're adhered to now. And because Big Brother is watching every pitch, every play, everything that happens in a game. Big Brother's watching.
Right. So, since you brought it up earlier, and I know dinner is probably almost ready for you. I know you told the wife you had a dinner time.
Until they put it on the back burner.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate it. But obviously, this is something that has become kind of part of your legacy, which is unfortunate. And since you brought it up, if it's okay
That's
with
actually
you,
debatable. It's actually debatable whether it's unfortunate or not.
well, that's true. That's true. And how you handled it was class act. If it's okay, I just want to show it quick. 'Cause
Absolutely.
honestly,
Absolutely.
Matt and I watched it about 50 times last night, and in real time,
At least.
and in real time, it actually does look like I could fully understand how you would make that call. So let's take a look.
Ground ball, right side. Cabrera will cut it off. Galarraga covers. He's out. No, he's safe. He is safe.
His reaction
He
was
is safe at
awesome.
first base.
Jim, my
So
biggest
how many times have you
question-
watched that video? Sorry.
That's the 5th time.
Seriously.
Seriously.
Wow.
I don't need to watch it over and over again. I've seen it.
Right. Why? Right.
Yeah.
My biggest question was, do you think that your first step was where maybe, or do you still think that your angle was?
My angle was fine. There was nothing wrong with my angle. I was in perfect position. My first step was going to call him out. There was something between that and the safe call. I have done 100 interviews over this. And you're not going to get the answer again in this interview because I don't know. I don't know
we're talking that
what happened.
We were talking about that on the pre-show. Like, now that we're umpires, like, we both have had that just brain fart where you want to say one thing, but you call another way, and you just happen to do it in one of the, huge.
Here's the beauty about it is not the beauty about it, but it happened for a reason, and to this day, I don't know I don't know what the reason is. Armando Galarraga doesn't know the reason. Jim Leland doesn't know the reason. It happened.
Yeah.
It happened. Unfortunately, it happened there.
Right.
And I've had 5,000 calls to first base. And I don't know. If I knew, I would tell the world. And it's just not going to happen and the thing about it is it all rolled into during that, right after that game happened, I was the most hated guy in the world, literally, that the president of Venezuela wanted my head.
Wow.
And after my interviews, and I said what I said to the world, that all evaporated. I mean, they had police outside this house right now, outside the house because my kids and my wife. And
That's
but you know
crazy.
what? After I said what I said about the way I felt, all I did was talk from the heart and my feelings, and I told the truth.
Yeah.
It turned into a positive. A lot of it turned into a positive. The way that Armando handled it, the way
Sure
that
did.
Leland handled it, me, the media. I'll be honest with you. The media didn't barbecue me. They could have, but they didn't. And
Yeah.
you know, it happened. It's unfortunate, but you know what? It doesn't change me at all. At all.
And thankfully,
I
that was
mean,
before social media, where
well, no, because I got a lot of,
well, you still got
that was
emails.
2001. And
Yeah.
believe
Yeah.
me, Facebook was out there because I got
Yeah.
about 3,500 death threats.
Well, I guess
And
Facebook was.
yeah, social media was alive and well.
Yeah.
And
I was thinking it was
but
earlier.
certain things also happened that, like I said, if the media would have portrayed it totally different, it could have had been a different outcome. But they actually played both of what Armando and I said about everything, and they told the truth about it too. And it turned it into a good sportsmanship,
That did.
and it turned into a great story,
And it gave you a
You
little
know,
bit of fame.
which I wish baseball would have carried out. Baseball
Yeah.
never once tried to promote that, and
Yep.
unfortunately, I wish that would have happened, and I just had to live it until baseball told me to quit doing interviews.
Jimmy's heard me say this before, but thank God it was Jimmy that it happened to. A veteran umpire, somebody that the players and managers and people respected, and and then the way, again, telling the truth. There's nothing worse than you miss a call, you see a call, you miss it, and try to say that you got it right. I mean, you lose any type of credibility whatsoever. Plus, you just sound like a fool, right? I mean, when I do rules analyst stuff and there's a play and they come to me, when it's he missed the play. So what I try to do, instead of the easy way, which I would never do, but the easy way is, I don't know what he's looking at, there's no way this guy's out, blah blah blah, right? What I try to do is try to tell the viewer, we'll look at it from the umpire's eyes. You're looking at it from this camera angle. He's over here. He's looking at a completely different angle where you can see, depending on the play, you can see where he would maybe miss or whatever. But try to humanize and try to tell the viewer that, because you got to remember, when they're showing a replay, that's the view that you're seeing. It's not necessarily the view that the umpire is seeing, right? But if that had been a young umpire, if that had been a new guy, or if that had been a up and down guy, not even with a contract, that could have ruined his career. No doubt about it. So in a way, that was good. It was a veteran umpire. The other thing is, and Jimmy touched on it, but there's a lot of organizations would not have been as gracious as Detroit was, and trust me, and so not only how Jimmy handled it, which was unbelievably and outstanding, but how Galarraga handled it, how Leland handled it, how the Tigers handled it. It was a perfect storm in that way to make a negative into a positive and into a like you said, a sportsmanship type story. And hats off to Jimmy for that.
Just remember, I've done a lot of, touched on this all, quite a while. It's, because I'm joined at the hip with it. I mean, let's face it. It's, it's going to be in my obituary. It's going to be the opening statement, as a matter of fact. But you know what? It's really kind of, Jeff Jones was the pitching coach. We played at Bowling Green together. Jim Leland's from Toledo. I'm from Toledo. I knew his family. I mean, there were circumstances, it's just crazy stuff. And the way Armando Galarraga handled it, the very thing he came off the mound, he had that smile on his face. I liken it to a Ken Griffey smile almost. And he never said a word to me, not one word. Jim Leland did not say a word to me. Of course, maybe they're so stunned. I don't know.
We know Cabrera
but
had some
that's the way it continued, though, too. Also, after that. I mean, Armando and I made appearances together, and as a matter of fact, A month later, I'm working the plate in Detroit, and he's pitching. Baseball promoted that part of it because they wanted,
Yeah.
Right.
oh, here comes you're not going to know
Well,
what
it was
happens
good
now,
for him.
boys. Unfortunately, Armando only lasted 2 innings. It was very, very, very,
You squeezed him.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. They just didn't write it.
He's not going to get that Nolan Ryan zone.
So Matt and I differed in our opinions on this, but if they were willing to overturn it, and I know that in the documentary there was like a law class that submitted
Yeah.
documentation to try and get it overturned, or at least to try and get him his perfect game. I know your stance on it. Is that still the same stance that you want to keep
Absolutely.
it as is?
Absolutely. We're in a different world and we're a different age. We're in a
Yeah.
different, generation. I mean, look at the way that everything's happening in this world right now. You can change anything you want right now. I mean, really, if it did happen, I don't think 2 people would blink,
Yeah.
and I'd be
Right.
right there to sign the papers. Absolutely.
It's just
In a
crazy with
heartbeat.
instant replay. Obviously, it's a
Yes,
different.
They change it every day now,
Right.
and I wish it's gonna. I've said this before, and I've said it when we had our podcast. I think for it to be changed is going to be the next commissioner. Is
Yeah.
what I think.
Yeah, he seems pretty.
Well, Manfred's not going to change it, and that's okay. That's fine. I think the next one will.
Yeah.
Right. Too much already under his watch, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I know for
No
me,
comment.
so when I'm umpiring and there's a potential for a no hitter, perfect game, I'm thinking to myself, don't screw this call up. Like, don't. Were you thinking? Was that going through your head at all? Like, if it comes to me, if there's a play at
No.
first,
No, I knew exactly where I was. I knew
Yeah.
exactly what was going on,
yeah,
but I wasn't saying ABC.
just another game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because that'd be your downfall.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
it was
Yeah,
a down-
you
it-
you
it
can't
was
you
a
can't change what
downfall
guy.
anyway.
I mean, I've only worked one no hitter behind the plate, but going to that 9th inning, you're aware of it, you understand it, but my thought process was, just focus, just focus
Lock
on
in.
every
Yeah.
pitch, just
Lock in.
if you start thinking, well, should I? I mean, I've heard, friends or people say, well, if it came down to it, if it was a little bit outside, would you, just end it? I said, you can't. First of all, you can't think that way, and second of all, that's just against everything that you've been taught and your experience and everything else. You just you hope to God you don't want to miss a pitch. There's no doubt about it. You don't want, that kind of, and the guys on the bases too, because they're aware of it. All of a sudden you have that catch, no catch, or that, close play at first, or whatever it might be. And nobody wants to be the guy that makes a mistake that ruins a no hitter or a perfect game. But the mentality of it isn't, oh, I hope I don't screw up. The mentality is focus and just do your job.
Right.
Like you've been doing.
Yeah. So, how many ejections have you guys had in your careers? Because we actually keep an ejection counter going.
I had
We got
93.
93. So you actually kept count.
Well, no, it's on retro sheet.
Oh,
Yeah.
They track everything's tracked, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
So I'm 89 behind you.
There you go. Well, now you got to remember 93 over 32 years
Right.
is not that many. Plus,
Yeah.
a lot of those are fights that really had nothing to do with me.
So
It's
I
just,
haven't had one yet. All 4 of those are Matt's, but it's probably coming this year.
Well, I heard he's a red ass. Matt is.
I tossed the manager and his assistant in the same game. So
I want to say that I was about the same as around Dale. I was about the same
Yeah.
around that. I ran Tony La Russa 4 times. He was my manager.
Larusa, yeah.
Yeah, I only got him
He was my
3.
manager. And we had a great relationship, but I ran him 4 times. So.
Same, Jimmy. I mean, he's a great example. When he
Yeah.
puts that uniform on, he's a different person, man. He's but I think not counting fights, I think the most I got in one game was 3, the hat
Wow.
trick.
3.
Wow.
Was there a brawl?
No, not a brawl. No, these are all mine. It had nothing to do with the in fact, it was LaRussa. It was a relief pitcher with LaRussa, and then my third one was in Atlanta when he was managing St. Louis. My third one was in Jim Edmonds blasted us as we're about to go down the tunnel, right? And their dugout's right there. And he called me some things that I don't think is physically possible to do, frankly. And so I said, so I wrote him up, but as a post game ejection. But that was 3. But I don't remember non-fight ejections where I had more than 3 in one game.
Yeah.
By the way,
that's good.
Dale, I had no idea that this was you back in your Billy Martin.
Yeah, that was the last time Billy Martin was ever ejected. It was my 3rd year. It was Memorial Day, 1988.
That's crazy.
And
that was Sherlock. That was
it
John
wasn't even my
Sherlock.
call. Wasn't even my call. But and he couldn't. And as you saw, he was trying to kick dirt on me.
Did you save any of
and
the
dirt? It was still damp. It was a 5:00 start. It was ABC Monday Night Baseball, and they had, they watered down the infield to keep the dust down. It was the bottom of the 3rd. It was still damp. He couldn't get any dirt. So after the second kick, he just picked up and just threw it on my beautiful sweater.
Yeah.
Would you say
Those were
more
fashion statements.
difficult managers that you've dealt with?
What's that?
Was he one of the more difficult managers that you?
Well, I didn't. I mean, I didn't have a lot, quite frankly. I mean, he wasn't managing when I first got there, and then he was, and he wasn't. My guy, I think I ran him 3 times. It was Cito Gaston. We just could not get along. He managed Toronto. He had back-to-back World Series, but if I said it was a day game, he'd say it's a night game. We just didn't seem to. I remember one time in Toronto, the first pitch of the game, I called a ball, and he said, "Hey, here we go."
We have those too. Too.
And he came out.
Gotta have it.
He came out to the mound to talk to his pitcher. After bitching about strike zone. So I just cruised on out there. I knew it was coming up, and he started bitching about strike zone. I ejected him. And so he said, I am sick and tired of this. He goes, after the game, meet me outside the stadium and we'll finish this once and for all. And I'm writing down on my lineup. I go, Dr. Bobby Brown was the president of the American League at the time, who does the fines and all that. I said, well, Dr. Brown will be happy to know that you've threatened one of his umpires. And he said, F Dr. Brown. I said, well, he's going to be happy when I write that one down. Biggest Dr. Brown.
What ball players chirp the most?
Yeah, I was going to.
Geez.
I mean, besides them all, of
Paul
course.
O'Neill. It sounded like Paul O'Neill was a treat.
Paul O'Neill,
he was a classic.
I got in an argument with him after he fouled a ball off, and he said, "Was that a good pitch?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "No, it wasn't." I'm going, "Okay, Paul, whatever."
His last at bat during the regular season with the Yankees, they were going to the playoffs, but his last at bat, I had his last at bat in Yankee Stadium. I thought I'd be nice. Because I had the All-Star game, and O'Neill was very nice during the All-Star game, off the field and stuff. So I thought I'd be a nice guy. And I said, Paul, congratulations on a great career. He says, Jimmy, thank you very much. He gets in the box. The first pitch is on the outside corner. And he says, that's bullshit, that pitch. I said, Paul O'Neill. I said, Paul, everything I just said, forget. Get in the box. Let us go. Yeah, I mean, you try and you try and you try. So
another Paul O'Neill story, because I love him. When he would come up his first at bat, he'd always say hello, and that's the best conversation you're going to have with him the rest of the day, basically. And so, I had a Saturday afternoon game with the Yankees in Cleveland, and he didn't say. And he always bitches about a pitch, at least one through the game, but he never said a word. The next day, I'm at third base. He's a base runner. He's at third. They're changing pitchers, so there's a timeout. He looks back, he sees me, he goes, "Hey, Dale." And I said, "Hey, Paul." I said, "By the way, I believe hell is frozen over." And he said, What are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, I had the plate yesterday, and you didn't bitch about any pitches at all." And I said, "I think hell is frozen over." He starts laughing. He goes, "I think you might be right."
Check the weather.
It's crazy because, both Matt and I have gotten into it with umpires before we became umpires. And then once we became umpires, it completely changed. And now we go to a Red Sox game, and you'd think we're there to watch the players, and the first thing we're doing is watching the umpires.
Always watching the umpires.
I never
I do that with
years,
basketball, football. I'm always watching the officials.
I was an a-hole when I played.
Me too.
I
still are
the biggest.
He's got his moments now.
Let's not
let's not.
I only got ejected one time. I got ejected when I was at Bowling Green. It was that classic. I was sitting at the end of the bench, and everybody was riding the umpire, and the umpire looked over and he says, "You're done." And it happened to be me, and I hadn't said anything. And so our head coach came down to me and he says, "What'd you say?" And I said, "I didn't say a word." He goes, "Well, you go sit in the stands," and and that was the only time I was ever ejected when I played. But I was a miserable
I can't say the same. I can't say the
Is
same.
it an Irish thing, maybe? What position were you, Jimmy?
A lot to do with it. A lot to do with it.
Gibbs Irish.
Yeah.
What position did you play?
I was a pitcher.
Oh, you're a pitcher.
I played.
Yeah. Can you imagine working him?
In amateur baseball, I played infield and stuff, but I was a pitcher.
Yeah. So I'm a catcher, so it felt like a natural transition. Umpiring.
Yeah.
10-7 Indiana, by the way. Anyone's
commercial.
We scheduled this.
Just reeled off like a 80-yard run or something
on the night of the national championship. So we apologize.
Since Oregon's not in it, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course. So any crazy any other stories or memorable?
Oh well, you don't have enough time on this podcast for stories.
I know we could
have
talk forever.
The only one that really for me, and it developed into a situation with after I retired. I was the first guy to eject Ken Griffey Jr.
Wow.
And it was on 3 pitches, FU, and it was that simple. And he didn't get ejected for another 12 years after that.
Wow.
And when he was approached to do a Geico commercial, there was an ejection in the commercial. And he said, "I'll do it if you guys get Jim Joyce to do the umpire part of it." And I did do it. And so I ejected his wife, Melissa. And if you listen at the end of the commercial, he says, "Yeah, I've had him do that to me before."
That's awesome.
It was a blast. It was a great time. He's a great person. And Dale and I we had the opportunity to do our podcast with him, and he was nothing but great. And I still think about that to this day. So.
Yeah, I was telling you at the pre-show, we had your friend Bill McCallum on, and he was telling us a story of how he ejected Bo Jackson in a preseason game. I guess he drew a line. He didn't agree with his strike 3 call.
That'll do it.
Yeah, it's not something he wanted to do, but and then apparently George Brett came up right after him, and George was like, "I thought it was a good pitch."
Of course he did. Yeah. George Brett used to come up. What he used to say, Dale?
He'd walk up and he'd say, "Dale's got my favorite umpire today. It's my favorite umpire."
Buddy,
and he would say that every day to every guy that was there.
Hi, Jimmy, how you doing? You're my favorite umpire.
My favorite umpire.
Now, Dale, you umped the 2004 World Series, or was that
Boston? They broke the curse.
Yeah. Oh, so you were there. Yeah, that was unbelievable.
Game 2 behind the plate in Fenway, and what was funny on that was right after Jimmy had him in the LCS when they were down 0-3 and then swept. That's 4 in a row. So I flew in the day after that. It was a Thursday. The series started on Saturday. I flew into Boston on Thursday, and I've got a lot of friends in Boston, and I love the city of Boston, but I've never seen a city, that whole city, when I flew in that day, like everyone was walking like a foot off the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was so like they had just won their World Series. I mean, by taking out the Yankees after being down 0-3 in the 9th inning, which was Jimmy was there and could talk about that. But I've never seen a city, well, that city especially. It was like they were just all, on
cloud 9.
Yeah. But that was. I'll tell you a quick story on that. When the series ended in Busch Stadium, old Busch Stadium, I had left field, and so I was the last umpire to come off the field. Right, Boston's out there jumping up and down. And of course, the Cardinals are going up their tunnel to their clubhouse, and ours was right behind the plate. You went directly behind the plate, and you went past everything, and then you just took a hard left, and boom, you're in our locker room. And so we're walking in, and like I said, I was the last one in, and once we get in our locker room, guys are starting to high five and stuff because, we got through a series and no controversy and we're going home and off season, all that stuff. but I could sense somebody was behind me for just a weird sense. And I happened to look up, and it was
Nolan
Tony La
Ryan.
Russa. Tony La Russa, doesn't have to go that way to go to his clubhouse. He just got swept, right?
Huh.
And about the same time I saw guys, we all just immediately, oh, hey, Tony, he could tapped it down a little bit. And his eyes were kind of watery, and he followed us in to shake all our hands and say, "You guys had a great series and a great season. Enjoy your off season." Now,
Wow,
that's
classy.
That is very classy, but that's the thing about Tony is he could be the most competitive SOB on the field in that uniform. I mean, if somebody hits one of his hitters, not even meaning to, but everybody is throwing it at him if he is one of his guys get hit, and if one guy gets hit, he's going to hit two. Okay, I mean that's just Tony, right? But you see him off the field, and he's but he came in, and we were all like stunned, right? I mean, he went way out of his way to do that right after they just got swept at home. So it was it's the the two sides of Tony that we've both seen.
Yeah.
I had game four that year in the ALCS. And the big Poppy home run is titled the curse has been broken when Poppy hit the home run and they swept. They went after that, and that was, I've said this 100 times, and anybody that listened, that was the most intense series I've ever worked. I've worked 3 World Series. I've done multiple playoffs, but that series right there was the most intense series I had ever worked.
You guys killed it, because I don't remember any really.
No, there really wasn't
calls.
much. There really wasn't much during that. We had the A-Rod slash.
The A-Rod slap.
Yeah,
we
got
had
that one.
that,
Which was a big one. A couple of home runs, right? A Bellhorn home run, maybe, or
that was my
fan
interference,
interference,
actually, and I lost the ball. I actually lost the ball, and good memory. I forgot. I'm glad you brought that up. Thanks for reminding me that I missed a call during that series. I appreciate it.
Boston fans will remember everything.
Sorry.
That's the truth.
04, 07.
No, but that was true. It was we had to bring Joe West brought the police out on the field. I mean it was an intense series. So
that had to be wild.
I enjoyed it. I had fun that series. That was actually a blast.
Are there any cities you guys enjoyed coming to or hated going to?
No, I didn't mind going to almost anywhere. It's
we got some great cities.
The intensity is different in some places, but overall.
And what about the clubhouses? Which clubhouses treated you the best?
Texas.
Texas. Yeah.
Yeah,
Texas,
they
Houston.
do a great. They still do a great job, and they've always been good. Houston was good also.
Houston was good. The other one, the bad ones were. Boston was not great.
I bet.
Really?
Tiny.
But
Pittsburgh.
You know what? That room had been around since 1913. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so had the food.
Yes, exactly.
Too bad.
Fenway Franks.
Yep.
And I didn't realize you
I'm
guys
sure
had
it's not much different.
umpire managers, like people that washed your uniforms.
Yeah.
And all that
So
stuff.
we have clubhouse guys. Yeah.
Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Attendance and stuff. Yeah.
We're pretty
great.
close to those guys. And
Yeah.
now Boston had a great one. Dean, I can't think of Dean's last name, but Dean was a great one, a really good one. He tried to do anything he possibly could for us.
Yeah.
Most
Yeah.
of
Most
them
of
are
those
like
guys
that.
were pretty good.
Most of them are like that.
That's
The other
very
thing
cool.
is, me being young umpires, Dan and
Youngish.
I tend to- youngish, yeah, on the younger side. Dan and I tend to talk a lot about positioning and where to go behind the plate. Dale, like your career ended because 5 concussions in 4 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
four,
actually-
four, and yeah.
we have that video,
And Lord knows how many I had before that. This is, there it is. That's the
That
last
was your
pitch I ever.
last. That was the last
saw.
pitch. You saw it. That's for sure.
Well, I also was. I had whiplash. I did. I told them when they came out. I said my neck.
Oof.
Of course, you talk about a neck. They go to neck brace and the whole thing. And but you know, I I was going to retire after the 2019 season. That was 2017. Fifth. It was only our fifth game. We opened in replay, went to Washington to open on the field, and then went to Toronto. It was my second plate game that year. But I was going to retire after the 2019 season. But when I was recovering from that and going to physical therapy for the whiplash and everything, I consulted 3 specialists, and one of them was not with MLB. I wanted to get somebody independent in Portland at OHSU, and got a consultation with him. And I asked all 3 the same question. I said, these head blows and concussions, what are if any long-term effects? And they said, we don't know. We don't know. We're still researching. We're still, every day we're trying to learn. A lot of the research they get is from these football players that had PTSD. They some of them committed suicide, and with the specific reason, look at my brain and try to get this so somebody else doesn't have to go through it. But I felt like it came to the point where I felt like I was on house money, and maybe I'm just ready to walk away, right? Because it's just, I've done everything that you could do, right? I had World Series and all that stuff, and and I couldn't figure out if I went back after I recovered, if I went back on the field and it happened again, because it seems like it was happening more and more, what would be my excuse, right? Or why am I doing this? Why am I potentially screwing myself up down the road? I mean, if I was, 45 years old or 40 years old and hadn't had a World Series or whatever, that's a whole maybe different mindset, but that wasn't the case. So I walked away. It wasn't the way I wanted to go out, on a stretcher in a neck brace.
Yeah.
But it's like I tell a lot of people, us gays, we like to make an exit, and that was.
But you talk about, and we talk about this with our umpire friends. The fact that the mask fell off, it took some of the, but not all of it.
Well, I'll tell you what. In most cases, when you see the ball just drop, instead of glance off or go off to the side, if you see boom and it just drops, most of the time you've just absorbed the whole thing,
right?
Yeah,
and that's exactly what the mask did come up, but that it just it hit 3 out of the 4 that I had were down here in my chin. A lot of times they're up here or whatever. Granted, depending on the angle of the ball and everything, and your pads and everything, that the equipment takes a lot of the energy. But man, I
you got all of it.
That wasn't the case with mine, and it just it was just time.
That's why
I think a lot of it has to do with physiology, to be honest with you, to your genetics and everything like that. Because why did Dale get whacked 4 times like that and have severe concussions?
right.
And I took it, and I've never had a concussion. Of course, it's also being at the wrong place at the wrong time, because if you see that pitch,
right,
that last one, first of all, it's not a good pitch,
right?
And the guy reaches up and goes off his bat, that accelerates the ball, and
I think it was a 98-mile-an-hour pitch,
and Dale paid the price.
And Mark Trumbo was the hitter, and he led the American League in home runs the year before. So he's a strong, big dude. It's just, it blows up. You see that pitch coming in, next thing you know, it sounds really loud because it's hit your mask. It just like blows up, and you just are stunned,
stars. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not fun.
Crazy. And a lot of guys are against the hockey mask because it doesn't absorb. But they're making them a lot with more like shock proof these days. And I'm not sure how much it helps, but a lot of
I tried it once in spring training. I just
the guys in the hockey mask are still getting concussions.
I'm not even sure. Again, I don't know, but your head rattled around inside of helmet when you're hit. I'm not sure if that's even better. I don't know if that's better.
It's crazy to me, like the guys that don't wear any helmet. They just wear the hat with the
That's what I did. I did.
That's what I did too.
That's wild. Yeah. I couldn't do that because you get hit with
the. That hasn't affected me at all.
Well,
But the MLB and the your Umpires Association, they're not doing anything else to kind of protect these guys. To
we have
sure,
they've been, believe me, they've been on top of this concussion thing.
They were actually ahead of the curve.
syndrome.
Yeah.
They actually have a full-time doctor on staff, and actually he runs a concussion clinic in Arizona. So
That's great.
there's just not a lot you can do about it, because it's such a it's a phenomena that nobody has their heads wrapped around. Just like Dale was talking about football, it's the same thing. And, there is no definitive answer one way or the other. So.
What was a little disappointing is because I couldn't get long-term disability because it isn't. They don't know yet what
wow.
No insurance company is going to give you long-term disability because you might have something happen maybe several years down the road. Now, if I'd blown out a knee or hip or something where I couldn't work again, boom, that would have been a no-brainer. But this was, so I always joke. I said, a hip, a knee, a neck, whatever. But all I did was get hit in the head, several times, and I don't qualify.
I'm right there with you. I can only imagine how many I've had being a catcher and then umpiring. I've been hit so many times. I lost count, and it's a serious thing, and it's scary. Especially 98 miles. Like, we're not seeing that fast. Maybe 80s.
Well, usually I wasn't either. I was just flipping a coin, see what happens.
That's what we do, right? That's what most umpires do. But,
well, boys.
Yeah, I feel like we could talk forever. I know, Jim, you got your dinner waiting for you. We
Absolutely
really appreciate you guys being on.
This has been great, guys. We appreciate you coming on and talking shop with us.
Absolutely.
My pleasure,
thanks for the invite.
And I hope you keep the podcast going. If you have any questions, or we can help you out, or vice versa.
Jimmy and I will have a little powwow and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll be watching. We'll be fans.
Absolutely. We sure will.
Appreciate
it, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks
Appreciate
for joining us, man.
Have a good night.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. Awesome.
Dude, how lucky are we, man?
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was awesome. Yeah.
I had so many more questions.
I mean, we easily could have just continued to talk to them for another hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there were a few that I'm glad we asked. There was a few that I definitely was curious about. And man, just 32 years in the show.
32 years. I mean, we're on year 3 and 4.
That's crazy. But
That's
I mean,
crazy.
to be lucky enough to, be in Yankee Stadium after 9/11 and do those games there. We didn't even mention that.
Yeah, we wanted to ask them about that. Yeah.
World Series. They were a part of some of the biggest games that we ever saw.
Yeah. I didn't know that Billy Martin until like last night. That
right.
And then
did you see the picture? He's got that picture. That picture.
I didn't.
Is right behind him. Yeah,
That's
there
funny.
in his room there.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that till later, but yeah.
It's too
Great
bad he didn't
stuff.
get to finish out his career.
I know, to have it go out like that, but not everyone's going out with a ring, right?
That's right. And the way he talks about the Galarraga situation, man, true professional.
I'm not all that surprised the way he handled it then. It was nothing but class. And to hear him talk about it now, and just how humble he is, and and even still, me and you went back, we were going over it last night about whether, if MLB went and changed that call, would it matter? I certainly didn't agree with it. I lean on the camp.
I mean, to see Galarraga get the perfect game, I think would be nice for him.
I do understand, but I lean more what's done is done. Yeah, you're not going back and actually changing that play for what happened.
Yeah.
And that's part of umpiring, right? The subjective nature of it, and the fact that you have to live with what we call, whether it was right or wrong. Those guys are just at a higher level where, now there's the ability to go and actually get with a finite camera and look to see if the runner beat it by a fraction of a second.
Yeah. They probably
we
got out
don't
at
all
the
have
right
that
time.
ability, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, had that play happen 3 years later, but then again, you can make that argument. Had that play not happened, would MLB have been as quick to implement replay?
Right.
And like we talked about last night, we were saying could have gone one of two ways. Either one of those guys could have handled the situation completely different, and the whole situation would have been different.
Yep. Yeah.
If Galarraga's not as gentlemanly and as the sportsmanship that he showed, maybe it doesn't play off in the manner that it does.
Yeah. I recommend everyone watch. Was it the 30 for 30? They did. Was it ESPN did a documentary on the whole thing. I suggest
Yeah, it's
people
very
watch.
good.
Definitely emotional. Yeah. It's a great story now looking back. And it gave him some fame, maybe not in the way that he wanted. Crazy that his family was getting death threats and all that stuff. I'm sure if it was the Red
it's too bad.
Sox, we'd probably feel a different way.
I wanted to say that too, because unfortunately, I think if that happened here, it would have been
Oh yeah.
far worse. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy that he had
But-
like police at his house, security or whatever.
It's too bad, but it doesn't really surprise me. I'm just glad that it just didn't get any worse.
Yeah. Well, the way he handled it, I think most people respected that. It's not like he was an ass about it. And
Not everyone, not a president of a different country is calling for your head.
okay.
Yeah, that'd probably get me a little worried.
That's a little overboard. Crazy.
But maybe with our
Want to be an
president,
umpire anymore?
unfortunately. Yeah.
I mean, think about how much we drive ourselves crazy when we think we missed a call after the game. And on that level, on that stage, dude, we'd still be talking about it.
Sure,
And the
but
way
I
he's handled
mean,
it, I mean,
our
yeah.
calls also aren't affecting the livelihoods of our family too. So
well, the way the players think. Touchdown, Indiana. So we're filming this Monday night. We usually go live. Plan is to record in advance. So it's Monday. We forgot the national championship was going on. So, yeah, I told Gib I'd give him updates. But tomorrow, Hall of Fame, right? Hall of Fame.
yeah, so
voting.
the BWAA releases its ballot. Well, the results of the ballot tomorrow afternoon, I believe, probably around 5, 6 o'clock. I'll be curious to see if they elect anyone. I think there's probably one or two that do you have that list
Got
up?
to upload it, but I'll do that in 1 second. And I guess Manny Ramirez, it's his last shot, or his last year of eligibility is this year.
At least on this ballot, and then he'll be moved to the contemporary committee, probably, and he'll be looked at by other committees probably in future years. But the way that it seems to go, and these steroid guys and these other guys aren't getting in. Guys like A-Rod still on the ballot, still presenting around, polling in around I think it was 40%. First year on the ballot, Dustin Pedroia, I think, was in the 20s. A good argument to be made whether he played long enough to get in. Other guys like Andrew Jones from the Braves, big part of those 90 Braves teams.
Yeah, this was the image. Hard to read.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got
Bobby
a
Abreu.
bunch of guys.
Yep. So I think really it's coming down to one or two guys. I'm pretty sure. Well, Carlos Beltran was high on that list. He polled pretty high last year. I forgot to look before we started, but it'd be curious to see what they go with. And as we know, Jeff Kent will be
Yep.
at least one of them will be elected in
Well, I didn't really
last weekend of
Pedroia, yeah, I
July.
guess Pedroia, but
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure his numbers will go up, in these years that he's on it. And I think, is Clemens still on that list? Clemens and
No,
A-Rod?
I think he's
Oh,
done.
yeah,
He's
they were off. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Clemens and Bonds were on that last one. That's right.
yeah. Would love
We
to have
shall see.
Clemens on the podcast.
Yeah, that'd be fun too, huh?
Who knows? Yeah.
But also, real quick before we go, D, what I did want to mention, I mean, some big free agent signings around MLB that have gone on since we've last talked. The Red Sox missed out on Alex Bregman. He went to the Cubs
Yep.
on a massive deal, 5-year
Mhm.
deal. But the one that's really kind of has got me thinking real hard is who was it to the Dodgers? Who just signed the deal to the Dodgers?
We just talked about
Kyle
it.
Tucker.
Yeah,
Kyle Tucker, 3 years, average annual salary $60
That's
million.
insane. I didn't know I didn't think he's that good.
$240 million contract,
Hmm.
4-year deal. And the Dodgers, the rich just keep getting richer.
That's insane.
And see, my fear is that it's not with the Dodgers. It really isn't. Like, kudos to the Dodgers, to their franchise, to those owners for spending the money, to investing in the team, and going out and getting guys that want to play for them. What my problem
wouldn't?
is that this is going to inevitably lead to a lockout at the end of next year. So we're going to have baseball for this year, but then the CBA is up, and it is not looking good. It's not looking good.
Yeah.
Kyle Tucker's deal makes up 89% of the entire Florida Marlins
That's
payroll.
insane. That's insane.
And the fact that these deferred contracts and these are allowing owners to continue to be able to basically spend and not have that money affect the luxury tax, which obviously some teams will gladly pay and others won't. Baseball's got a real problem.
So you think a
And
lockout is inevitable, huh?
I think a lockout is on the horizon, yeah. And unfortunately, what's being now overlooked is that a lot of these guys, the Dale Scotts, the Jim Joyce of the world, they're going to be without jobs. I mean, are they going to go down to the minors and ump down there for a year?
Yeah, how does that work for them?
I-
They still receive a
No
salary?
baseball is no work.
Yeah, I mean,
Who are they going to get paid by?
true.
I don't know. I don't know. There's going to be a huge ripple effect. After the last lockout, what was that in '94? It took a lot for baseball to spring back. And you can look at it in a lot of different ways that the owners kind of did this to themselves, that they turned a blind eye through the steroid era, that they enabled a lot of these guys to do what they did, and
Mm-hmm.
and now with the money, it's kind of led to one thing to another, and the way the TV rights are, these cable deals, I don't know, man. But I mean, the thought of no baseball is, that's too much for me right now.
Yeah, that would be very unfortunate.
Yeah,
But I guess we'll see.
should be interesting to see how it all trickles out.
Yeah.
I'd certainly like the Sox to do more than sign a lefty pitcher, though.
Well,
they need some work.
Any team's got work to do to beat the Dodgers, who you might as well just give them the trophy again. I mean, they're gonna run the table for years to come.
I saw an interesting, speaking of gambling and who should win, odds on favorite. Would you rather take the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are on a record pace to beat their season win totals, and basically they're the clear favorites in the NBA this year, or would you take the Dodgers to win the World Series next year?
Dodgers.
What is the better bet? Yeah, right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Well,
25
no, not really. I mean, They're
Not the
dominant.
roster they have, man.
Yeah, their pitching staff is worth over $1 billion. Like, come on. Come on. But anyway, we had a fucking earthquake. There was an earthquake, Dale.
There was an earthquake during this show? Are you
during the
kidding
show.
me?
That's insane. Yeah. Anyway, in local news, the Somerville Senators, we had our team party. Rented a party bus. Razio said
Nice
he was-
shirt.
Yeah. Evan ripped his. I think I showed you the video.
I didn't know it was your brand new champion.
Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't see the whole thing,
T-shirt, but
No,
yeah,
it's more
I
like
like
a
that.
warm up.
That's nice.
A warm up.
Well-
Warm up with a hoodie and everything.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike Smith taking over the team. Orazio finally retired, going out on top.
Congratulations, Raz. Best of luck in your retirement.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure he'll still be there, especially after the games, post game celebrations.
I was a little surprised to hear my old teammate Smitty taking over the team, huh?
I was very surprised as well, because I feel like he would have taken over the Spartans years ago when you guys were looking for a manager, but I don't think he's playing in the Park League anymore, so he's going to have some extra time. So I assume that was the
Plays a
reason
big
for his
factor, yeah.
decision. But that's good for the Senators, and
Yeah, congrats, man. It's good stuff. You guys got a good team there, good foundation. Best of luck to Smitty
yes, sir.
next year taking over for Raz.
Yep. And I'm probably retiring from the 28s. I guess I'll announce it here, but
Yeah, you leaning that way, bud?
I mean, I don't see the point in staying. Razio was really the one that kept me going to help, manage the team, catch here and there. But if I can instead umpire with you, make some money, why not?
Certainly been fun seeing the different side, after playing in that league all these years,
Yeah.
and having the chance to do quite a few games there actually in the 28s this past year. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's fun.
It's also
a
scary
great-
to realize we're at that age where, I mean, how many years did we play 18 plus? We thought we'd play forever.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's getting old sucks. But at least umpiring keeps us in the game. And we still got the 38 plus. I got the 45 plus. You'll be
Yeah, there's still
45
pl-
soon.
Yeah,
Soon
we're
enough.
getting there. A little closer.
Soon enough. But
No rush.
yeah, take your time.
There's plenty of ball to play, plenty of ball to be a part of,
Yeah.
so
We got our first assignment, varsity game, end of
Yep.
March. So
Walter's already at it.
that's right. Thanks, Walter.
Thank you very much. Keep sending them our way.
And shout out to Dave Tresca, who is promoting this episode on the new EMBUA page. He also sent an email to all the umpires. So hopefully everyone enjoyed this episode
Absolutely.
and future episodes.
Yep.
And be sure
Please
to like,
send us
subscribe.
any ideas for any future episodes. Also, let
Indeed.
us know if you maybe want to guest co-host or even come on and be a guest.
Got some big shoes to fill, though.
Absolutely.
But I think
But
that's it.
This was fun, buddy.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. I had so many more
Yeah.
questions for them.
Yeah, I mean, we could have easily talked all night. So
Yeah. Yep.
But it was great to get some behind the scenes stories, and
Ooh, touchdown Miami, 17-14.
there we go, making it a game.
You did call it. You said it was going to be closer.
I
than
thought it
people
would be
thought.
close. I'm hoping that. Don't tell anyone, but I'm hoping Indiana pulls it off.
But
Got a
doesn't cover.
futures ticket I'm holding.
Oh, the
so
futures ticket. Right, right.
I did not take the Miami, which we have
Oh,
a
you
lot of friends.
Yeah, you
We
know
have
about the
some-
hedging.
We have some friends that go down there, and one of our best former students, first year. So I'm sure they're living it up right now, having a good
Oh, yeah.
time.
Yeah. Well, go watch the rest of the game. I'm going to do the same.
Likewise.
And Yeah, be sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Great episode 30, buddy.
Episode 30.
Great job.
Woo. You too. Have a good
Thanks
night,
again
guys.
to Dale Scott and Jim
Yes.
Joyce.
Yes, definitely. They were awesome.
Yes, they were.
All right.
All right,
Good
bud.
stuff. Take it easy. We'll see you next
See you
time,
soon.
folks. All right.
All right.
Good night. Peace.